The Pittsburgh Steelers playing football at exactly the same time. You know what? It's not that big of a deal. Hi, I'm Marky Billson. Yeah, it's disappointing to me because as someone whose love of sports occurred by watching the Steelers and the Pitt Panthers when the Panthers were competing for national championships and the Steelers were competing for Super Bowl titles back in the 70s and early 80s, I'd like to be able to watch both of them and give them my undivided attention. From that standpoint, it is disappointing. And I know a lot of Pitt fans are, we gotta go up against the Steelers. Nobody's gonna watch us. Maybe that's true. But I want to give an example from my other hometown, East Tennessee, and tell you that I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm going to tell you why. For a long time, East Tennessee State University, who Pitt fans may remember, actually helped the Panthers christen Heinz Field back in 2001. Yeah, they were the opponent when Pitt played their very first game at Heinz Field. But East Tennessee State has lived in the shadow, if not being totally subservient to the Tennessee Volunteers. ETSU is in Johnson City. The Tri-Cities, a legitimate metropolitan area in East Tennessee, 100 miles north of Knoxville. Yeah, somewhat smaller than Knoxville, but with an identity of its own. Much like, Pitt has an identity all its own, and a fan base. Now, this being said, there has been a lot of talk over the years, because when you look at the media attention, even in the Tri-Cities, given to ETSU against the Tennessee Volunteers, well, the Vols usually, especially on the radio, take precedence. Now, I say that, and I want you to understand this as well, that the ETSU Buccaneers, they'll draw, now a sellout for them will be, say, 7,000 to 8,000 people. Sellout for the Vols, 105, 110. You get the idea here. But there's always been this idea that ETSU should avoid trying to schedule head-to-head with the Vols whenever possible. I've even heard ETSU fans say that they should play all their games on Thursday. How that's going to work when you go on the road, I'm not sure. And that's why you don't do it. And ultimately, I have said, especially because the two entities are 100 miles apart, eventually ETSU has to sell their own brand. Essentially, ETSU has to market, still Division I football, a lot of local players, and it's not a big drive. And this is what Pitt has got to do. They cannot worry about what somebody else is going to do. Pitt has advantages in this game in marketing against the Steelers. They need to get them out, and it's probably too late if they haven't, but things like, we have the top talent from Western Pennsylvania. We're the true home team. We're going to be playing at home. You can watch the game live. And it probably wouldn't hurt the Panthers to have a few TV monitors with the Steelers on as well when that game is going on. You can watch that in the Great Hall or what have you as well. Market what you have. Market that, your game against North Carolina is probably a bigger game than the Steelers' game against the Browns. After all, the Steelers and Browns, likely neither team is going to win their division, but the Panthers right now are tied for first place in the ACC Coastal. It's still very possible for Pitt to win their division. So they've got a bigger game, and against a nemesis rival in North Carolina, whereas, the nemesis rival in Browns-Steelers is the Steelers to the Browns. There are marketing things, and essentially, you have to be able to promote your own brand. Now, yes, could this have been avoided? We can backtrack on this, but what has happened, and now it is a challenge for Pitt. Don't think of yourself as subservient. Look at it as a challenge. And if, yes, you have to give a few discounted tickets or whatever, big deal. You wouldn't be the first team to ever do that. and you might attract a larger crowd and have an entire football event experience of Pittsburgh in Heinz Field. I'm Marky Billson.